Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome everyone on behalf of OSAC Chennai chapter and MitKat advisory. In the interest of time, we'll start the session. Today's session will comprise of opening remark from our RSO from US Consulate, Chennai, followed by the speaker session, and further by the panelist session. We'll open up with the members. So without much, I just hand it over to our RSO, Joseph Jung, to have his opening remarks. Joseph.
Hello, everybody. Once again, we are having a wonderful meeting sponsored by OSAC and MitKat Advisory, and I wish to thank Mr. Pawan Desai, the CEO and co-founder of MitKat Advisory, for his presentation today. I also wanted to draw everybody's attention to the 35th annual OSAC briefing, which will take place the week of November 16th. This OSAC briefing will be open to everybody and will be virtual this year. Usually it's held in the US and everybody's invited, but because it's virtual, it will be opened up. They'll be celebrating 35 years of the OSAC organization, as well as doing a number of different briefings, and so everybody is invited to attend that. If you would like a link for that, I will provide the link to Dinesh, who can send it out to everyone. And again, I ask that everybody do that. And that reminds me also, if you are not currently a subscriber to OSAC, or newsletter subscriber or a member of OSAC, I highly encourage you to go ahead, get online to osac.gov and sign up for that membership. It's important for our numbers and to show us as an organization and a chapter how we're doing. And then I want to go into talking a little bit about the last few weeks. Vijay and Dinesh sent out a number of emails to people regarding submitting members of our chapter and our chapter into the OSAC headquarters for the National Achievement Award.
Great to see you all. Thank you, RSO Joseph, and thank you, Lieutenant Commander Pawan Desai, for being here at the OSAC Chennai chapter meet, and we are waiting to hear you. A very quick brief. I also welcome all the colleagues, peers around the industry and around the country for being here. A very quick brief on our chief guest today, Lieutenant Commander Pawan Desai, an alumnus of Jamnalal Bajaj Institute of Management Studies and IVLP Fellow, US State Department. Pawan has 25 years of experience in the security risk management domain. He has been involved with initial setup and growth of Mahindra Group Consulting Company in the domain of cybersecurity before co-founding MitKat Advisory Services. Currently, he is the CEO and responsible for the MitKat P&L and future global aspirations as well. He has led several high-profile, complex, and multi-dimensional risk consultancy assignments with industry leaders across verticals for more than 100+ blue-chip companies. A very distinguished ex-Indian Navy officer with specialization in submarine operations. He's an acknowledged thought leader in security risk management and a staunch supporter of convergency of cyber and physical security domains in the future. He speaks regularly at prestigious forums like OSAC, AC, SG, ACIS, BCI, Duty of Care, etc. He has authored several articles in professional journals and has been selected as one of the very few security professionals in the country to be part of the delegation representing India in the India-US Security Professionals Meet in US that happened in 2014. He has contributed to security fraternity by holding a post of Secretary of Mumbai Chapter ACIS. He likes to give back to the next generation by being a regular visiting faculty at Symbiosis International University, NIMS, and many other premium management institutes as well. As part of Digital India Initiative, he has been deeply involved with industry body in training of more than 1,000 people on cyber safety awareness and certification. We are so much honored and glad to invite you, sir, for this forum, and looking forward to hear you more. Welcome, Lieutenant Commander Pawan Desai.
Thanks a lot, very kind words. Thanks a lot. I hope I'm audible. Thanks a lot. First, it's an honor and privilege to be part of this forum. I think must thank Joseph and the entire OSAC Chennai team for giving us this opportunity. I think I can see the list, and there are such luminaries today who are in the audience that yes, I cannot teach them security. You are actually managing security, and you know about security much more than me, which is there because you're doing it day in day out. So I'm going to talk slightly different. The topic given to me was the future. How is this going to enable the business? So I'm going to talk slightly different about what my thoughts are on the future of security, of especially the physical security, and how do I see that going. I'll just share my presentation. Just let me know, and I'm going to keep it very crisp. I guess if people can share their inputs in 18 minutes in TED Talks, I think I should be able to do that in that time. So we will try to keep it as short as possible. And to the point, just let me know if my screen is visible and the presentation is visible. Is it visible?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yes.
Is it?
Now it's okay.
Okay, right. Thanks a lot once again to OSAC and all the friends who are there today. So I'm going to just share my, I think I'm no expert on this, but I'm going to share my opinion on how do I see the future and how security is going to be business enabler. I think let's start with welcoming the evening snack time. I think everybody must be just hungry. It's a Friday evening, but I think it has lost its relevance in today's context. Friday evening is as good as any other day's evenings. So some food for thought. Are you, I'm saying you as an individual, as a head of security or a regional head or whichever role you have in your organizations, do you have your digitalization journey mapped? When I say digitalization journey, I'm not talking about digitization. There's a huge difference between digitization and digitalization. When you are doing a thing manually in maybe in form of registers and you start doing it in Excel sheet, it is not digitalization. Digitalization is entire new way of thinking. Can you manage security remotely? Can you do it through ways and means of using technology? That is what I talk about digitalization. So have you mapped in your, at least in your mind, the digitalization journey for yourself and for your organization for next maybe 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? I don't know answers. I'm just giving a food for thought. Answer can be yes or no. We come back to the end of the slide. Is it there? Are you a more outward-looking guy? That means, do you spend almost more than half of your time outside your organization, meeting law enforcement, meeting various business heads, meeting various maybe service providers, meeting various industry bodies, in understanding that how are you going to enhance your security operations and how are you going to make yourself relevant? Are you spending less than 50% of time in security ops? Is there any question on this? Can yeah, thank you very much. Are you spending less than 50% of your time in security ops? That means rostering, guarding, contract management, all your all the things which CCTV is working, not working. Again, no answers required. Just wanted you to think about it. Do you understand cybersecurity space? Do you understand IoT space? Well, or are you like, I think I can include myself, most of the armed forces people, they like to have this, please pardon me, most of the infantry guys who are there on the session, that only the danda, I think just maybe the benefit of Joseph, I think the infantry guys in India typically says only danda works. That means only the stick works. Rest everything will come in place. If you have a stick in hand, rest everything can work well. So do you have that mindset? Again, you don't have to be infantry guy, but do you have the infantry mindset in place? Do you think that your next job, which you are going to take, which you are going, because of COVID, you may not be switching jobs, but once the COVID gets over, things becomes rosy, job starts coming up, your next job will be in a company which is not yet created. If the answer of any of the questions is no, any of the one is no, I am very afraid to say that you might be in a existential crisis. Your job may not remain in future, unfortunately. Think about it, what I'm saying. If your digitalization journey is not understood by you, if you are not outward looking, if you are spending more time in security operations, if you do not understand cybersecurity or IoT space, or you are not ready to work in companies which are not yet made or they do not exist, will be very difficult, because most of the activities which security managers are doing today will not exist in next 3 to 5 years. I'm going to prove you in next few slides why I'm going to say so on that. So it's a really critical time for us to think about what we are doing and take a step back and see how can we really do it differently. I think the speed of change in this era where we are currently, because of COVID or maybe without COVID, is so fast that we have not even realized at the speed at which we have changed. And you reflect the same thing in our security operations. Are we doing the same things for last 5 years? Let me just take an example. Have you anyone heard of concept of singularity? What is singularity? Anyone? Quickly. I may not have access to chat box, so maybe John or somebody can just tell me, Elango can tell me if somebody is writing, somebody on chat box. My screen is on full screen. What is singularity? Anyone? Quickly.
But then I have types of account.
Pardon?
Not a various site in the chat box.
Okay, so what is that? Sorry, I'm on a full screen, so I cannot see it. What is the singularity? Pardon?
So is it completely dependent on a single scale or something? I'm just guessing out.
Okay, not exactly. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to try that. I'm Sajid here.
Hi, sir.
So, nice to meet you, sir. So, is it something like a point where the technology goes in so fast that everything behind becomes irrelevant and it changes? So, something like that?
You're there. You're not there, but not exactly there. Yes, I think half is right. Anybody else?
Maybe I can try.
Yes.
This is Major Ajit Alex here. Maybe today it's the world of computer systems and digitalization, as you rightly talked about. So even with my experience in the past with the automotive R&D, where we are moving towards the Internet of Things, and hence singularity to me are the usage of those computer systems which will define the the processes and systems, be it in automotive or be it in any manufacturing kind of a setup.
Sure.
And hence those computers and systems will lead the way for all the defined processes. And hence maybe sir you
No,
can,
I think you are there, but not the word I'm looking at. So maybe just because of the paucity of time, I think I'll just explain. The singularity is the point where which you will stop differentiation between human beings and machines. It is a point of singularity where you will not be able to differentiate. So you may be talking to a robot and you will get the same responses as human being, or you may not be able to even differentiate. I may sound very maybe out of this world kind of talk, but let me just explain you through a few slides. There is a very beautiful white paper on this, which is a concept of singularity, which is called as a countdown to singularity, which says that by 2020, the quantum supremacy, why quantum computing is very, very important, because the current computing has only 1 and 0. So only 1 and 0 positions can be taken. In quantum, there are multiple and infinite positions which can be taken. So the processes will become much, much faster than what is there currently. And it is multifold we are talking about. We are not talking about 1x, 2x, 3x. We are talking about 1000x improvements in the way we are computing today. By 2024, it says that 5G will become commercial. Why 5G is critical? I'll show a small video that you'll figure out. It is not only about the speed. It is not only about the storage. It is not only that how fast can we download the movie, or can we have more cameras. It is much, much beyond that. The entire business process, the way we think about business, will change drastically. Very interesting, by 2024 it says that we may have flying cars. So all the problem of traffic of Bangalore may go away in few years. So people who are thinking of moving away from Bangalore may like to rethink. More on the lighter side, but yes, it is possible. It's again, don't go on years. You may have few years delay, but it is definitely happening. It might look very, very staggering, or it might look so this doesn't make sense. But let's take a step back and let's think about our life and see how many of us could live with or dependent on Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, Make My Trip, Book My Show, Amazon, Flipkart 5 years back. Were our life dependent on them? Or was it a part of our day-to-day life? Can you think of a life without these apps and these facilities now? I'm not talking about during COVID. Yes, you don't use Uber. Yes, I understand that. But yes, once it starts, it was not so common. But the speed of change has been so fast, and we have not even realized at the rate which we have changed. And the same thing, if I talk to you about security operations, tell me 5 years back, what were you doing? And what are you doing now? Have you kept with the pace? Have you changed at that pace? Have your business operations, have your way of thinking, have your way of doing business of security change at that space? Maybe answer might be, may not be. There may be some people who may have done it, but I think when I interact with most of the people, people are more in a status quo mode and they want to improvise on what they have. It is not a drastic change which we have seen in security industry in last many, many years. Going back to maybe 2024, you may have 3D printing, you may have a robots as a commonplace. Arvind sir is here. He has a fleet of security guards. Maybe in 10 years time, he may not have human beings. He may have all the robots which might be doing the guarding for you. It's a possibility. He may be only managing robots, not the human beings. It's a possibility. Robots will understand context. They will understand speech, which is the biggest problem today. So the way we interact with robots might change drastically. Let me very quickly take you to one of the videos I just came across today. I thought, let me share this with you. Just a couple of minutes video. This is in China. This is a mining industry. If you have seen where mining happens.
With 5G technology, the mining industry has evolved tremendously more than previous centuries combined. Today we're in Tianyi Cement Company in central China's Henan province. We're here to see how this traditional industry has been transformed in 5G era.
现在这个地方是无人远程操作台，在这里可以操控1公里以外的挖掘机。这个操纵杆往右边是右边旋的，往左边是左边旋的。这个摄像头都是360度的，全方位都能看见。通过5G，这个精准度也提高了，安全性也提高了。现在我是在这边远程操控这个运输车辆来运行轨迹，然后我这边控制启动，它会自动运行。如果说这边出现什么状况，我这边都可以监控到。以前的话，一个车就是需要一个司机来去开它，对吧？但是现在的话，我一个人可以控制15辆车，就是15辆车可以正常运行。我这边只需要负责它一个启动或者停止，它就可以自动运行了。
To the naked eye, it looks like the conventional mining methods, but wait a minute. Take a closer look, you'll find there's no driver in the cab. The large bandwidth and reduced time lag of 5G technology can greatly improve the ability of precise and selective mining. In 5G era, remote mining is expected to see great development. It's the way towards the future.
Right. So it's not about just an example of mining. Every business is going to go through a disruptive way of doing a business, and that is very, very important for us to understand as security professionals. So if we do not remain in that speed of pace, I think we will be left behind. Let me just take you through the journey ahead in future. By 2026, it says that we may have 1 crore drones flying. The entire Amazon delivery might be through drones. The entire, maybe the way we do surveillance might be through drones. Security guarding, patrolling might be happening through drones. We don't need security guards. Electric vehicles might be a common thing. Carbon emissions might have peaked. Your oil and gas companies will have tough times going ahead. Very interesting. Car ownership will die because nobody will own a car, because your car needs to go from place A to place B. Currently, it is also used as a status symbol. But in a future, if I can, on a click of my mobile or whatever will be there in future, if I get that vehicle, why do I need to own a car? If I talk to my kids, they are not interested in buying having car. They don't have a dream that we should have a car. They says, okay, we'll do Ola, Uber. That's the way they do it, kind of thing. You may have VTOL. What is VTOL? Anyone? Hi, am I audible? Yeah.
Vertical takeoff and landing. Yeah, takeoff landing.
Vertical takeoff, landing. Vertical takeoff. If you have vertical takeoff and landing, the entire way we fly or we travel might change drastically, kind of thing. Solar and wind will become cheaper. Oil demands would have peaked by 2030. Robots will have very important, interesting aspect. Robots will have real relationships with people. You may have husbands, wives, maybe your boyfriends, girlfriends of your kids might be robots, may not be human beings. Might sound very esoteric, but it's a possibility. By 2032, all the oil companies will go bankrupt. So if you have stocks or if you are planning to work in oil companies, be aware of that. Middle East may go through a major revamping on that. Medical nanorobots will have, so you will have injectables in your bodies, which will be avatars of robots will be a commonplace. So I may have my avatar, which might be working in office, and I may be sitting at home and maybe controlling that. It's a possibility. AI, everything will be your nannies, butlers, nurses, guards, everything what I can think of. CCTV operators, command centers, everything will be robots. Longevity, very important. Today we think at retiring at the age of 60, but you will be healthy till the age of 100. You will not get sick. What are you going to do for next 40 years? So you are going to live for 100 years. So you will have to find jobs for yourself. And by 2040, it says that currently we cannot even think how the life is going to be. We cannot even think about it. So this is the speed at which the things are changing. And we are not talking about some next generation or next generation. We are talking about 19 years, 20 years ahead. This may not happen in 2040, but surely happen in 2045 or 50. This is definitely happening. So the speed of change is super fast, which is going to happen. Are we as security professional catching up with that thought process on that? So the Internet of Things, as somebody was saying, Internet of Things. So what are we protecting? We are currently protecting them, but most of the attacks and most of the things we are going to. So we might be security heads of maybe 120 robots and maybe something which is maybe driverless cars. So how are we going to think about those security challenges and how are you going to create SOPs for those? So that is going to be a very, very different mindset. And we have to start thinking about that from today. Otherwise, we'll be left behind. So to my opinion, I think the main roles I see for a CSO going ahead will be only 3. We may categorize that anything. One is to loss prevention. Can we add bottom line? Can we prevent losses to an organization in any shape or a form by reducing cost, whatever way? I think every business will have different way of working. So loss prevention, brand enhancer. So are you a brand enhancer of your organization? Can you pick up a phone and solve a problem of your CEO? Or can you pick up a phone and there is a problem which your customer is facing and can solve his or her problem? He or she is stuck somewhere. I think the role will be more of a brand enhancer. And the third point will be competitive advantage. Can you react? Can you manage crisis well? Can you create an adverse situation? There is a concept called anti-fragility. There is a book, excellent book. If you, I think I recommend everybody to read it. Anti-fragility. So can you actually convert a crisis into an advantage? or situation, and do you have that mindset for that, or do you have a very stuck mindset that no, I work this way only? So if you have that, I think that is what is going to be the roles for, I say, to become a more business as a security professional. This is my last slide. I feel the future trends, what I see, some may happen, some may not happen. I'm just picking up from various discussions which I do with various people. One is we will have one unified CSO function. It is already started in banking industry and certain companies. CSO role will be to protect organization and people and brand. So your cyber, your physical, your business continuity, everything will combine. So it is going to be a unified CSO function in future. So if you do not understand other elements of it, you will be left behind. That's the important aspect here. Segregation of risk and cost function, we are seeing that because currently most of the risk, most of the security people are rolling into facility. Facility is a cost function. So year on year, their KRAs will be to save 10% cost. Security is a risk function. Risk and cost function cannot sustain hand on hand. It is mindset is very, very different. So future is going to be, that's again I predict that the risk function are going to get separated out and cost function will be separated out on that thing. So we all will be risk managers because that is how we are used to thinking. Anything which is mundane, repetitive will be either outsourced or automated. So you think that you are going to create an army of people under you. All the best to you. Suddenly you will be redundant and all these people will be out. They might either be outsourced or they might be robots in your people might be replaced by that. You have to have lean and mean structures. You have to have more of a governance role, policy, governance, and how you are going to drive policies and derive futuristic approach. That is how the whole future, I feel, it is going to be. You have to be multidimensional. CPP is good, but that is not the end of it. CPP is not going to help you retire well. Maybe very strong statement, but I think that is going to be the fact. You have to have cybersecurity expertise, crisis management expertise, business continuity expertise, fraud expertise, a lot of others, and maybe other financial and other expertise. You have to be multidimensional. And last and more important, all of you who are sitting here, including me and everyone, we are not competing with each other. Once we start thinking that we are competing with each other, इस बार मेरा fidelity में है, fidelity से I'll jump to Cognizant, Cognizant से I'll jump to this, Bank of America, that we are not competing with each other. We will be wiped off. So we are competing against a very different domain which doesn't exist today. So the competition may come from a very different, may come from data scientists, may come from business analysts, and they may be able to perform our jobs much better kind of in future. So either they disrupt us or we start thinking about our disruption. That's the only way I think the future will exist, and if we have to remain business relevant. So that's my thought. Just a few thought processes. I'm happy to have questions and discussions. I think they are very, very, experienced people. So I cannot teach security, as I said, but just your opinions and your thoughts will be welcomed. Maybe I'm done, Dinesh. If you have time, we can discuss anything we want.
So thank you, John, here again. I have a question for you. You talk about convergence of physical and cyber domains in a lot of places. What is the biggest challenge you see for the physical security professionals to be part of that convergence? Because there is always this challenge, right? So can you elaborate on that?
Our mindset. I think our mindset is the biggest challenge, and we are making ourselves weak by not giving away control. We are very control centric. When I'm using a word we because I'm including myself in this. We like to know our power by how many people do we control, how many guards we have, how many locations if you see a CISO, he will have 3-member team, but the budgets he controls is phenomenally high. Everything is outsourced. So I don't think so. So I think it is we are our biggest enemy, I think, in terms of our thought process. That's what I will take it as on that thing. I don't know if it makes sense or not.
No, awesome, sir. Thank you, because a lot of young professionals are here. So thank you so much for that thought mindset.
I feel young professionals have a much bigger advantage than compared to all gray-haired and no-haired guys. I think they have a much bigger advantage compared to us on that.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? I would encourage questions to come in either through the chat box or feel free to reach out to Lieutenant Colonel for your thoughts.
There are two questions which has come up. First question is, post COVID-19, things that have changed in the way of other business leaders view, specific to security leaders view within the organization. And they want to know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think COVID is only an excuse. But first of all, I don't know what post-COVID means, because I don't know, has it gone away or a second wave is going to come or how it is going to be. So I just say that I think security domain, I think fraternity has done a great job during, I think, the real relevance or maybe importance. Most of the CXOs have felt of all the security professionals. I think you don't have to now explain to them why security function is critical to them. But most of these memories are short-lived. And when the good times arrive, people forget about all these aspects. So we need to remain relevant. So the way we have done it, I think we have to remain relevant and keep on doing the way we have been. I think in last 6 months, I think seminars, I have never heard anybody talking about that CXO doesn't understand our language. In most of the seminars in the last 15 years, I always used to hear that people do not understand, CXO doesn't understand what we are trying to say. Suddenly CXOs have become intelligent and they have started understanding. It is not. I think we have changed, and we have started using their language, and we have started becoming more business relevant. I think that is what has changed. So we have changed in 6 months, not the CXOs. I think that's what my take is. So, and if we continue this way, I think we'll be in demand as always. I think.
Like you said, there's another question which has come up as well. Other than loss prevention, deterrence, and control, how can security operations manager contribute to enhance business? Can we get some examples from your theory?
Well, I said there are 3 aspects of that. So I said loss prevention is one angle where you actually save money in terms of either enhance money in top line or save money on bottom line. Brand enhancement is also very, very important aspect. The way you project the whole security department project themselves and they interact with the outside world, whether it is with the third-party vendors, whether it is with because the security is the first point of contact whenever somebody enters the organization or sees the organization. What kind of feel the person gives, it's a great brand enhancer. How I'm not saying you have to let everybody come in and grade, but the user experience is very, very important. So are we focusing on user experience? That is going to be the I think there. So brand the thing and competitive advantage. So as a CSO, am I well connected? Can I solve my CEO's problems? Can I pick up a phone and, as I said, can I just pick up a phone and call RSO and can solve the problem of my business? That is what is a very, very important aspect of that. We don't have to be inward looking, we have to be more outward looking, and how can we solve business problems rather than security will happen. I think we have enough systems and processes in place. Business security will happen, security operations will happen.
Thank you for that. John, do you want to take the questions in the chat box?
Sir, there's one question about SOCs. I would put it like, how important is GSOC, SOC, security control room, command centers? What is the evolution of these GSOCs for the future business? So how do you see them?
I think in next 10 years, GSOCs won't exist. Because what is GSOC doing? Ultimately, what is the role of a GSOC? GSOC is basically gathering, integrating data so that it enables you to take decisions. If there are products available in the market which are already there and they can actually do 80% of job what you want to do and can give you inputs on your mobile, You can take decisions. Why do you need a GSOC? You don't need it actually. So may not be now, because I don't think so we have evolved to that level of maybe integration of this thing. But maybe 10 years, 15 years down the line, I don't think so GSOCs will remain. Maybe that is my way of looking at it. This is personally, purely personal views on that. So why I'm saying that, because I have seen the same evolution in cybersecurity space. Now most of the SOCs, if you see anybody from Reliance here, they have virtual SOC. They do not have SOC for cybersecurity. Everything happens on laptops and servers. Every alert is generated, right person gets right information, and they take action. That is what you need ultimately. Why do you have to have 15 people sitting and taking it over? If you see it, then only you take a decision. Is not necessarily required. I don't think machines can do a better job than human beings. Sure.
Dinesh, is there any other question, or we you want to?
So we can go with one last question. The question is, growth in tech is always there for years, but
yes,
it is going to be exponential. However, yes, is there anything that which is not going to change, we need to preserve?
Yes, I think the emotional connect is not going to change. I think that is where I think we have to evolve ourselves to become more, I think, emotionally connected, and to take mundane jobs will be taken care by technology. But the next level of jobs of maybe social interaction, emotional interaction will still be, I think, which is going to be our roles as a security professional, that will still remain. So we have to have our EQ levels, which I think there are a lot of books and a lot of training on that. Like I think security professionals should start getting trained on EQ, emotional quotient, rather than intelligence quotient on that thing. I think that will be the next level of intelligence, which might be relevant for us in future.
So, thank you so much. I'm going to just quickly summarize what you have said. What you said, because just for the audience sake of it, you talked about concept of singularity and the forecast of change that's happening and going to happen, and how to be a loss preventer, brand enhancer, changing crisis into advantage for the team, and how important mindset is, particularly for the physical security professionals during the convergence of cybersecurity and physical security, to remain relevant, particularly business relevant, the change of VSOCs, and importance of emotional intelligence and quotient. Wow, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for the opportunity. Thanks for the time. Cheers. All the best with the session.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Dinesh.
Thank you. Yep. So in a recent article by the Guardian Times, they reported that an estimated 7 million private security workers in India, compared to just 1.4 million police officers. Likewise, in China, there are approximately 5 million people employed in the private security compared to the police force of 2.7 million. And according to US labor statistics, there are over 1.1 million private security guards in US compared to 66,000 police officers. Well, that's the geostatistics of private security and the government officials. So the numbers are always increasing, and so are the challenges and the nuances attached to it. So this gives one of the reasons why we want to focus on the next topic, which is the panel session. And I would like to inform you that we have about 20 experts from 12 agencies right now available in this session who have joined the webinar. So having said that, I would like to hand over John to lead the panel session now.
Again, thank you to all the people who have accepted the invitation, particularly from the guarding agencies, the staffing agencies, security service providers. Today we have few panelists. I would say they are partners in our journey. Arvind Sirohi from Jaguar Security Services, Samba Shivarao from Terrier Security Services, Colonel Harjinder Singh from Raksa Security Services, Mr. Srinivasan from Walson Services, Colonel Ramesh Kumar from NISA. We also have Geethan from Evergreen Security as well. And I know there are a few more who are here. I would like to start this panel discussion with a very generic question to all of them, maybe starting with Jaguar. Just the one question I want, one point from you. What was the biggest challenge during this last 6-7 months as a guarding service provider? What is one biggest challenge that you faced, and what is the support you need from a client, which will help you to serve better? Each one of you can start with a point and a recommendation to the client. Then we will further on open it to the people around, the peers in the security industry, to ask questions, and then the panel can have a discuss and dialogue. So starting with Sir Arvind, can you possibly say what was your biggest challenge in Jaguar, and then what do you expect from the clients to help you serve better?
Okay. Thank you so much for inviting me. I will not mention the transitionary challenges which took place in the initial few weeks or months, which is basically lack of instructions, orders, movement of IT equipment, movement of people, passes, and all that stuff which all of us went through. So if I have to choose one, is that the pandemic, so to say, which was a health crisis basically, and wherein the security took up a major role, and which is much appreciated, but ultimately it was a health crisis. While remaining so, today has also morphed into an economic crisis, and that is beginning to show its darker side. So you know, the security industry is not insulated when businesses are going out of work, large scale layoffs are happening, this entire segmentation is shrinking. There is virtually a global economic crisis, and it is going to affect the industry badly in the coming days. So there is going to be shrinkages. We are invariably the service industry is the first one to be hit in these kind of environments. So we can see it happening. There are going to be problems in payouts. They will have to write off large amounts of debts, because there are going to be certain companies who will not be able to get out of the current crisis. So while we are handling the health aspect of it, which also we do not see the end to it, the economic fallout is, I suppose, we are just at the tip of the iceberg, so to say, of that. So that's going to be a biggie moving ahead. So and what we can expect is that obviously we're trying to do our best in times of crisis. Cash is king. We're reducing our expenditures. We're conserving cash. We are also assisting our clients. We realize that there is going to be lesser spend. So we know that there's going to be quality over quantity. That we know that going to optimizations. We know that there's going to be diversion of funds from physical security into the cyber world because of work from home carrying on the way it is there. We also know that technology will take a larger space. So we would be partnering, and that's what we expect our clients also, that we are with you in this thing, and there will be a transition. We will help you save the money. We will help you to move towards a different aspect. We will move away from manpower intensive guarding to a more of a man-tech kind of an approach. We will get the upskilling in order into it. We just require the support from our clients in doing so. So I will not take too much of time on that. It's an endless subject. So I hope I've covered my one point. In case there's scope, I can bring a few more at the end of the journey. So,
we surely discuss, Arvind, and thank you so much being empathetical about what's happening and understanding the ground reality and adapting your services and your operations to it. Thank you so much, Arvind. Mrs. Sambashivarao, do you want to take this question and share your thoughts? The biggest challenge you had in career and what you look forward from a client side of it?
No, sir, nothing. Already Mr. Arvind already covered entire challenges. We expect support what Mr. Arvind is explained. It's the common challenge for all of us.
Yep. Thank you so much. Colonel Hajinder, you wanted to jump in and share your thoughts?
Thanks, John. Yeah, just a quick this thing. Of course, Arvind has covered it pretty well. 2-3 other points which come to my mind. Those were firstly, during this sort of a situation, the partnership aspect between the client and the the guarding services, that comes out very, very importantly. Why I say this? When we saw this happening, the security guarding forces, wherever they were giving a fantastic type of support to keep the companies running and to facilitate that. The way the client companies came up and provided them accommodation, gave them be it the you could say the catering services within the premises, gave them space to stay. Those sort of partnership issues, if that had not come up, most of the companies did it. So that was a very good way to handle the challenge which came up firstly. Second support, or I would say the challenge was regarding the mass attrition that happened in the guarding forces. A lot of companies lost their major portion of their manpower because the people went back home in case they were in different cities from their hometowns. That was a very major challenge. Again, it was a very good way the challenge was overcome by the client companies and the guarding companies joining together, reducing the number of the places where the guarding or the manpower had to be deployed. That was another very important aspect. Third point was a major challenge was the training. The training stopped across the country, across the world. Training stopped. Now, for making up the attrition, you had to either deploy the guards or get people from all over the country, totally raw, totally untrained, deploy them, and then hope like hell that they did the job. That challenge was again a very good way to come up and bring up was by the use of online methodology, which we took up very, very, you can say we took it up very fast, and we converted our training to an online mode and just kept the basic last bit to a physical mode. So that way we could cover it. So again, a major challenge. So that's what I have. Of course, I can go on, but I'll not take up more time. Thanks.
So thank you, Colonel, and thank you for being very transparent on the challenges on training and the attrition during this. That comes to my next question also to the panel as well. What Colonel Ramesh said. What is that new innovation or that the new normal the guarding industry or any of you, Jaguar, Terrier, Raxa, Walsons, Nisa or Evergreen have introduced or brought in to cope up with the new normal in your operations that is also helping the client services as well? Is there anything that you kind of brought in into your operations during this 6 months time? Arvind, you want to go?
Yeah, sure. So it's been transformational the last 7 months. Actually, it's been a catalyst for change as far as technology infusion is concerned. It's not necessarily only the guarding agencies, but for every single company, every single employee. And it's probably something which was inevitable. It enhanced it further. So as far as we are concerned, we moved on to as far as training, Harjinder mentioned very aptly, moved to online trainings. We were moved to chatbot based training with auto quantifications. We moved to a touchless instead of biometrics. So large amount of technology interfaces happened in it. Other than that, what has happened which is transformational is that we are basically adapting to a mindset change, and mindset change that the normal guarding and security function is not going to remain the same, and it will change, and that is something which we are still working on, and we realize that we'll have to get more resilience into it. We'll have to get much more upskilling into the entire aspect. We really don't know when the next COVID 2021 is going to come, or the next terror attack, which is basically biohazards, or out of the way, or next climate influence, because this is really brought us thinking to a lot of other aspects. So the mindset change is the next thing is that what we are thinking of, that how we can really move down the stream by not necessarily going back to the old normal and thinking afresh for the challenges which may come, which we never thought about.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the thought. Geetan from Evergreen, you wanted to add your thoughts on this. What has changed in your operations? What you brought in to serve the clients better? Or want to add something? Colonel Hajinder, you wanted to share something on that, sir?
Yeah, there's a very, not a very perceptible thing at the outset. But as we went along, we saw there was a process, like I just mentioned, that we had online training. Arvind also just mentioned that. So we did the online training. By virtue of that, what we got very tech savvy boys who were very comfortable handling, of course, electronic devices, be it, of course, the mobiles, they were there. We were all on Zoom, and we were handling Zoom platforms, and we were training more than 100 per batch. Apart from that, what has happened is when these boys have gone to the sites, to the deployed units, their uptake at the client sites is much better than what we used to get earlier. So that is a very major perceptible change, which we later on saw. That, of course, we did anticipate it, but having got the feedback, which I just got yesterday and maybe a few days back, this is a very major one which has happened. Another thing that happened was the recruitment process. Now, we actually do a recruitment pan India. We don't do it local, and we take on raw candidates. So in that process, what we did, or what we found, the recruitment process also we had to do an online process. How we used all the social media platforms. We used Facebook, we used WhatsApp, and with small flyers, we sent it across. So that was another sort of a change in the complete management of the, you can say, the guard force, getting them in, getting them on the platform for training. So by and large, we got tech savvy people. They are doing a much job at these sites. They can handle the visitor management systems comfortably. They can handle access control rooms. They are much, I would say, a level above what we used to get earlier. Thanks.
Thank you, Colonel. Thank you so much. The expectation of the quality of manpower, or I would say staffing, I would hate to use the word manpower often, staffing has changed for sure. Thank you so much. Dinesh, you have questions for the panel, or?
I think there was some challenge with the evergreen department. Let's say you from the match.
Good evening to everybody. With regards to the last question, awareness building and knowledge dissemination to all the field force was an important factor from our side. and involvement of the client participation, and this was a very important concept which gave us a lot of mileage, and normal SOPs and ad hoc instructions were given to face the crisis and take it forward. That's one area that we wanted to mention. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dinesh, I have one question, if I could ask.
Yes, Vijay.
Yeah. So we spoke about the online training models and how the agencies moved on to the online module. So the first part of the question was from a Prasara training perspective, the certification that we require for all the guarding. Is the online module training acceptable for the Prasara training? Are they providing the certification based on the online module? We have a lot of new people coming in, so if we've gone into the online training module, so do we? Is it acceptable if a guard does the online module, and do we get the Prasara training certification? That was my first for question one. The second part of the question is just while we spoke about moving to tech-savvy manpower to handle the changes in the industry that is happening to. So, how, from a sourcing perspective, do we have the quantum of manpower availability to meet this new requirement of handling more tech-savvy equipments? So, how are we on the how are we looking at sourcing this manpower, and what is the market availability of this manpower?
Thank you, Vijay, for the two questions. I would have one question for Arvind, the first part, and the second part to Colonel Hajinder, because he spoke about the tech-savvy staffing recruitments. Arvind, you wanted to share on the Prasara certifications for online?
Yeah, that's a simple one. The Act came out in 2005, and there hasn't been an amendment to the Act over the last 15 years. And the Act says that it has to be classroom training. The government has not come out with any regulation to the contrary, which allows online training to go. So technically speaking, this is considered, the current thing is only upskilling, and from a more certification point of view, there is no changes to the Act, which actually states that physical classroom training is mandated. So officially, no. Online training, you cannot get a certification based on online training as per the current guidelines. I hope they do change. And I'm sure the government will take notice of this aspect. So the short answer is that there is no provision which caters for it, or there's no regulation changes or thing which has come out of us.
So actually speaking, there have been a lot of changes from the government also, considering the COVID scenario which happened in the last 6-7 months. So has there been any representation from the guarding agencies to the government on this aspect as well?
Yes, there have been several representations, and one of is definitely on this aspect of Prasara training. So basically what the government has done is that has put a freeze on everything that is related to Prasaras, including renewal of Prasara licenses in terms of the agencies are concerned. In the sense that even if your licenses have expired, most of the states have come out that they were given an extension and those kind of things. The government is not taking coercive action in any manner in case there is an issue of a certification which is holding back deployment of manpower is concerned. So that is something which was represented and has been agreed upon. So there were a lot of problems. The problem of certifying the guard. There were also problems that Prasara certificates of agencies were expiring during this period. The government departments were shut. There was no way you could apply for it. Your verifications of your antecedents of your promoters could not be done. So all that has been taken care of, and serial extensions are being given by various states in this aspect. So, but having said that, it's just a temporary measure. As far as the Prasara is concerned, that also the government has taken up an initiative. They had asked the industry bodies as well as users for any changes which they want. They had put up the draft rules with changes on the government Ministry of Home websites. In the very near future, we are expecting some major changes which are going to be to the benefit of both users as well as service delivery agencies.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Arvind. That was informative. Thank you so much. Colonel Hajinder, you wanted to talk about how the staffing availability, how it is easy or challenging to bring in highly efficient or skilled tech-savvy staff to the agency.
Yeah, thanks, John. See what happened. Tech savvy. I just mentioned that due to the online version which we used, the online methodology, we started getting better tech savvy staff, and by virtue of that, when they went to the sites, which is, I mean, I won't say that they've been at the sites for very long, but whatever period they have spent and the feedback that we are getting, they are handling their jobs better. They are more aware of their surroundings. Though they may be from little remote areas of the country, but by virtue of they having accepted this online training module, the better lot possibly got selected, and that is how what we have got on. And the point which Vijay brought out as to only online training, no, it was not only online training. What the model we developed was most of the training we did online. We called them to the center, to our training academy. This was when the unlock, I think 3 had happened. And by the time when people could move around a little, and from then onwards, we've been getting them in small batches, initially 35, 40 per batch. Now we've increased to maybe 100. So that is the way we have increased the scale and continued to do the physical or the practical training, which is very important. The physical aspects, the physical toughening, the wearing, the turnout, all that cannot be done online. That is asking for too much if we expect that to happen. So by and large, we've got a product which is good tech savvy, and I would say really good to the extent we used to get earlier in their bearing physical toughening, but reasonably okay. So it's a good mix.
Thank you, Colonel. And on this note, I would also declare or encourage both the peers and the colleagues and also the guarding service friends, partners. There are a lot of universities and colleges who have come up with security studies in India. There are specialized universities in Gujarat, and I know a lot of youngsters are ready to pick up corporate security as a career. So if you are really wanting to set up an MOU to bring in graduates or postgraduates, do let us know. We would be able to connect you with these educational institutions so that you would be able to recruit some good staffing quality. The question which has come in is what would be the lead time security service providers required to reinstate after during the RTO? I suppose that was Om Prakash's question. Return to office. What would be the lead time? Keithan, you wanted to take a shot on this question? How much time you need to reinstate your staffing?
Yes. In Tamil Nadu, we are it's a mix of the North Indian and the North Indian guards and the South Indian guards. But has now since in all client locations there is a decrease in the manpower, so it's being managed with the existing fleets, the guarding force. But once the work from home in various IT companies, for example, gets reduced, so then we need to substantiate and increase the manpower intake with North Indian guards in a phased manner. So it should be roughly approximately 1 to 2 months time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Arvind, you wanted to share your thoughts on that? How much time it would take for you?
So, as far as we are concerned, we are ops. So, in the sense that fortunately, with the kind of clients that we have, we haven't lost too much of business. We have people who are on the benches, and they can come back. As far as we are concerned, we have a 48 hours period on the basis of which we can get 100% of our strength back to our client side. And this is something that in phases we keep checking out as far as our manpower is concerned. So we are good to go. We are ensuring that people who had left to their hometowns, etc., are back. Everybody in the duty station, they are getting paid. And 48 is the outer limit. We expect within 24 hours to get our entire manpower. Okay, so.
Thank you, Arvind. There's one more question which has come up. How about a stringent background check that's happening after, particularly during the RTO, bringing in new people? Is there a challenge you look at background verifications of these staffing that you bring in post this COVID? Colonel Hajinder, you wanted to take that?
Yeah. See, the process that we've been following continues. There's no change really. What is happening by and large, when we recruit a new fellow, he comes with his police verification, right? So that unless he comes with that, he is not taken into the fold. Thereafter, whatever the HR further checks, that process is on, and there's no change there. So really speaking, we've not really had any challenge in the background checks for our people, even in spite of COVID, in spite of people coming in spite of the gap that we had, and quite often we've up the vacancies that did come up. All our old people have come back, right? So they're already verified. They're already got the requisite, the sort of documents to say that they are okay to or good to go. That's the way we handle it, and no real challenge there, at least not till now.
Thank you, Colonel. Geetan, you want to say anything about the challenges you face on the background verification at Evergreen? You wanted to add up?
With regard to the background verification, majority of the clients did demand for that, but whenever we logged into the concerned portal, it took a long time for getting this process. So the processing time was a big challenge for us because normally in the government portal, especially the Tamil Nadu government portal, it takes a long time for getting the feedback and getting the response on that. That was the only challenge that we have faced. If that can be speeded up, then things should be brighter. Thank you.
Thank you. That is a challenge for sure. There's a question on based on Lieutenant Commander Pawan Desai's session. What is that one lesson, maybe disruptive or simple, security service provider have picked up for adoption from the session Lieutenant Commander Pawan led today? You wanted to share something?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was enlightening, and firstly, Mr. Singari, you are coming up with some really good questions. My compliments to you. The biggest takeaway, as far as I'm concerned, my good friend Pawan, he was brilliant as always, is that we need to adapt our mindset that security or life moving ahead is not going to be the same. And that will manifest itself in numerous ways. The days of security silos are over. Security, safety, cyber will get integrated. we will have to work, including security companies like ours. We've been brainstorming over the past few months to really brace up to this challenge. We do not want to become dinosaurs in this ever-changing environment and get extinct. We will have to morph ourselves into something very different moving forward. There is going to be data and information which is going to be basically facilitate decision making down at a tactical level. That means at a guard force level. Structures would be much leaner. Erstwhile, we used to have chowkidars, and then they became security guard with a certain degree of respect of uniform, and now security officers. The roles, the responsibilities, and the technology which they will be holding would change. We are constantly now, over the last couple of years, but this will enhance it, reaching out to our clients and telling them that that move on from a security guard to a security officer, because you'll have to conserve the number, quality over quantity. You'll have to get the numbers down. You'll have to restrict your budgets. You'll have to have more dynamic than static posts as far as things are concerned. And that would take a lot of upskilling. And so moving forward, we are really struggling with this entire piece, because we know it's happening faster than we expected it to happen. But as mentioned by my good friend Pawan, that if you do not have your digitization journey mapped, you have an existential crisis. So we are mapping it, and we are mapping it like how we do not want to get extinct. We don't want to become the next dinosaurs.
Thank you, Arvind. Colonel Ramesh, sorry about it. I kind of please share your thoughts on Pawan's session, and what is your takeaway from Pawan's session today?
Yeah, thank you so much, and good evening to all. The pandemic situation across the country has brought in new challenges for the security industry. It goes without saying. And if you see, if you see the articles daily coming, there are facilities getting shrunk. There are shrinking facilities which is happening. Work from home scenario. So this brings in new dimension of security delivery. There's going to be consolidation of services across the industry. Most of the housekeeping security services are getting consolidated. There is going to be a reduction in manpower. Taking a cue from what Pawan Desai mentioned, that drones and robots are going to take positions of security guards, or it is going to be the security enablers going forward. But it also brings in a lot of challenges for the security industry in terms of competency enhancement. There we'll have to be very careful, because you can't replace robots with security guards with robots, but there is a man behind the machine. So you need to have, there's going to be a big challenge for the security industry in competency enhancement. So how you're going to align to the industry requirement is something which is a big food for thought. And going forward, the safety aspect is going to be very important. There's going to be a paradigm shift in the HSE policy itself, where health is going to be an important agenda. Because if you don't have people who are healthy, then there is no security industry here. So digitization, what Pawan was mentioning, process automation, technology-enabled solution is going to be the future trends in the security industry. And we also need to reposition ourselves as security enablers to see that what kind of industry is thriving and what kind of markets are emerging. So that is going to be something which we'll have to work on. So that's all I have to say on this.
Thank you, Colonel, for bringing in that health aspect, because that's very vital, and thank you for bringing it to the discussion. This is the last question. Maybe we can take one more question if we need to, if you have anyone. Anand asks.
John, can I just come in for Pawan's session? I just wanted to add.
Please, Colonel, please go on.
Yeah. Basically, what Pawan brought out about the business enhancement, that aspect is where I see the security, the verticals going along with the corporates, is the business enhancement. How best when we join hands with the, say the management, and how we can steer the business in a way that with minimum disruptions, we can continue to, produce the sort of the work that we are required to do. That is a very, very important aspect. I'll just give you one example without taking too much time. A system of intelligence gathering, which we as security professionals are naturally aligned to do. And with the COVID in the backdrop, you know what happened when COVID was building up in countries in the Europe, how the security professionals, advised the top management that, okay, this is the place where the whole thing is building up, how to pull back your people rather than getting them stuck in those countries and then spending huge amounts of money to extricate them by various other means that were available that time. So that is a place, intelligence gathering, business enablement, and to be able to advise the top management on the correct processes to be followed in this or in the future of management of businesses. That is one very, very important thing which we must take a look at. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Colonel. Particularly bringing in intelligence, it brought so much of smile for me and Pawan as well. So, yeah, great. And the last question, Anand kind of raises a question on do the guarding agencies share intel or information about the defaulters, people who have been rusticated, people who have been blacklisted? Do you share such information between you all so that the risk doesn't come and land up in some other site? So this is Anand's question from Exaware. Open, anyone can take it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah. With respect to this question, there are a lot of WhatsApp groups and also the government agencies which circulate photographs of defaulters wherein they've committed some heinous crimes. So, and not to pick up these candidates. So this is being shared in the various WhatsApp groups to various agencies, and also this is being taken up very seriously with the local, the state CAPC apex bodies. So this is being done on a regular basis, and definitely this will have a great impact so that once a person commits a crime in one agency, he doesn't get a foothold in another company. Thank you.
So just to add on what was mentioned and what was very relevant. So this is something that the industry is struggling with over a period of time. And the reason for that is that criminal background checks, oblique the CCTNS, the police checking of the FIRs, etc., happens only in case the crime which has been committed is actually recorded in terms of an FIR. But large amount of times a defaulter, security companies, they just let him go. There might be a financial fraud, but they don't want to go into the aspect of fighting a legal case, so just let him go. And he's again in the market. So this is the problem that is arising, and we thought about it a lot. There was initially a thing that maybe on the CAPC, the Central Association of Private Security Industry, we can have a link wherein the names of these defaulters can be listed out to avert people against it. But however, we face legal challenges, because if there is nothing officially against a person and thereafter denying him a job can lead to legal challenges, because he can represent against his name being on a list wherein there is no legal parlance to it. So what is happening right now, and it is happening at a limited scale, if somebody does embezzlement, companies at times are taking out his photograph and his name and mentioning the reason as to why the person has either absconded or terminated. So that is done at a localized level by the individual agencies. Other than the aspect of police verification, a background check, wherein the criminal background checks come in terms of that, this is something where there is a problem existing.
Thank you, Arvind, and thank you, Geetan, for answering the question. Dinesh, you want to take it? The last question?
Yeah. So I have a very specific question on an agency. What they mentioned is due to COVID situation, some of the agencies are facing challenge in getting the payments from their clients. What are the best possible ways that we can deal with this situation? So, Bobby, you want to take this question?
Yeah, why not? Am I audible?
Yeah, you are.
Oh, great, first class. So I think this is a very specific question. Actually, it's not. It's a
not means I have not heard this kind of situation right now, but again, maybe it happened with someone. But I think none of us have heard this lockdown word and experienced literal meaning of this word before this pandemic situation, in fact, and that even caused havoc or confusions about what next actually. So and whoever have capabilities of reacting and adopting the change and having their flexible business continuity plans, they could able to stand tall and resilient in this situation. So that is my understanding, or as per my knowledge, and when we interact with our professionals in our fraternity, we come to know that, and that is my point of view again. So, but having said that, this problem could have been resolved amicably, as it's a mix of contract agreement and mutual agreements between your clients. So I think that would be the answer for this question again, Dinesh. Back to you.
Thanks, Sophie. I think you just put the correct word, contract. I think contract speaks a lot, and what exactly we put in, how many days we specify, everything speaks in a lot. I think that's the last question here, John.
Okay, I think, yeah, that was the last question. Thank you, Om, for that and all the questions you asked for. I'll quickly thank the panel, especially Arvind, Sambashiva, Colonel Hajinder, Colonel Ramesh. Sorry, I did not kind of involve Srinivasan. Srinivasan, you wanted to add something on in this session. You wanted to share your thoughts, maybe at the last question of challenges in payments. Do you want to add something, Srinivasan?
Yeah, good evening. I take this opportunity to thank the panel and the participants for this wonderful opportunity. Yeah, that's the last question was really a vital question for this security industry, because during this COVID-19 pandemic crisis, we all the industries are facing this financial crisis. To encounter that, as my previous counterpart briefed it, we need to adapt to the crisis. We need to enhance these systems in place. We should be more specific, like we should be able to understand the client billing cycle, what is the credit period, what are the requirements. From this month, all the invoices process have been on e-portal. E-invoices have been started. So adapting ourselves to the crisis, rising to the occasion is a vital part, which all the agencies are striving for it. And we have our own credit period. If we understand if there is a 30 days credit period, we have a strong system in place, and we are continuously following up. We are strengthening the financial prospect, because it is more vital to ensure the social security of the security personnel and on-time wages, which is the key parameter. And to survive in this industry, financial aspect to be very strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Srini, for adding such a valuable point on adapting to the new normal. That's it. Dinesh, take it over, please. I enjoyed this panel discussion, and thank you all the panelists for an engaging session.
Okay, John. I'm sure everyone will accept the session was quite moderated well by John, so thank you, John. And I would like to thank all the partners who just joined in as a panelist, sharing their thoughts, opinions, and the best practices. At the same time, I would like to thank Pawan from MitKat as well for his knowledge sharing session. Having said that, this has been a initiative that we want to take right from the month of Jan, but COVID came down and we have to extend a bit. But it's good that we have a good start now, and this is not going to be the only session. We're going to take it much further into more burning issues that we can address jointly. And having a forum like this with all leadership from different agencies is going to get more information at the same time, more solution to the existing problems where we mutually accept to be amicable. I would like to invite Vijay Naidu, the chairman of OSAC Chennai, to give the closing remarks for the session.
Yeah, thanks, Dinesh. I think all of us spoke, and I think a lot of things discussed, and especially the session by Pawan. I think there are a lot of new things that were shared, and I think it's a awakening or a disruptive session, I would say, wherein I think we are forced to think on the changes that we're going to expect ahead, and how, as a security professional who are more into physical security, think about what is going to come next in terms of digitization or in terms of technology, how we could adapt and upskill ourselves to be relevant to the industry in the years ahead. And on the second panel discussion, I think there are many points which were discussed, which were more relevant to understand how this scenario, the COVID scenario, has put a lot of challenges in terms of manpower industry. We also have to look on taking away from what Pawan Desai had covered as how the manpower industry would cope up with the changes and how they would become more relevant, where we are changing from a more manpower intrinsic industry to a technology driven solutions in terms of security services. So it's, I think, very relevant for the the guarding agencies or the manpower industry also to look forward to how to upskill or how to change their course to adapt to the changing scenario and provide more technology driven solutions to the industry from a manpower perspective, from more rather than from a manpower driven industry. So I think a lot of discussions happened, a lot of participation, a lot of questions have been asked. I'm happy to note that we had a very fruitful interaction, and it leaves us all with a lot of questions to think about and to ponder on and find relevant solutions for us, our own selves. I'd like to thank Lieutenant Commander Pawan Desai, Arvind, Colonel Harjinder, Sam Sivarao, Geeta Nathan, who have taken time out and organized this for us and share their thought with us. I would also like to thank our RSO, Joseph Jung, to have taken time out and continue to keep engaging us and encouraging us to do more of these initiatives. And last but not the least, to Dinesh and John for conducting this very good session and being a wonderful moderators. Thank you so much. Thank you all for participants for taking time out and joining us in this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all.
I'll just leave one note which I just came across yesterday. We talked about innovation. John just pulled the point about innovation. So we are very much aware about biometrics, where we're using retina scan and fingerprints. One of the colleges in Bangalore has started doing a pilot on cardiogram. So they're looking for inward biometrics now and not the outward. So that is innovation to the next level. So having said that, thank you everyone for joining.
And before you sign off, Dinesh, before you sign off, congratulations on your achievement. Well done, and keep up the good work. Like to see more such initiatives from you. Keep this chapter as vibrant as it is this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, Dinesh, for this recognition. All the best to you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you, everyone. Good day. Happy weekend. Bye-bye.